So of the four transformations we're going to talk about, this one's the one that's the easiest, at least in my opinion. What we're interested in is which of these values makes our graph go up and down. So if you've already played around a little, I hope you figured it out. If not, do a quick pause, play around with A, B, C, and D, see if we can figure out what makes it go up and down. I hope you ended up with the same thing I ended up with. Now I'm switching over here to using cosine as my reference, just because we use sine already. Let's give cosine a shot. It ends up being the D. It is the parameter D that makes your graph go up and down, and that's the only one that makes your graph go up and down. I want that to make sense, right? As I look here at my cosine function, if I take a number and add it on the end, that takes whatever my cosine function was and either moves it higher in the y or lower in the y, depending whether that D is positive or negative. So, putting that together, the midline moves, and the midline is determined by what this value of D is. And that's why we say D measures the vertical shift. So for example, on this graph, if I go halfway between the top and the bottom, that's going to put my midline right here. Well, that's at a height of 2. Therefore, in this transformed graph, the value of D was 2. It really is that straightforward. So your sine and cosine graph gets shifted up if your D is positive and down if your D is negative. What you'll be asked to do in your practice is, given an equation, then find what that vertical shift is. Now, don't get in the habit of just looking at the back. You've got to look for the number that is added on separately. It will sometimes be listed in the front. But once you have found it, the number that is separate from the rest of that original trig function, you found your vertical shift. That's a negative number, so we're going down 2 spots. Over here, it's added on the end. That's a positive number, so your vertical shift is up 3 units. Please don't make that tougher than it is.